Yes, hello. My name is Spogmy, as he said. It's a very difficult name. but I have worked with this constellation since September, and my first point was to think about gender. Gender because I have an organization with other women, and it's important how we are represented in media in EU and Sweden and Norway. And this was when I meet the friends, and then I thought, no, everybody's talking about how the refugee is represented, but the woman is not more important, but important part of this journey, why we have come from our countries here, and why we have to be represented as a weak persons in media. In Sweden, there are as many men as it's women. Almost every 50 person has a refugee background. And you see, it's all beautiful women. And this picture is just to make attention that the refugee women is not so weak as we are represented in media. And why I have these pictures, I will tell you now. Every time it's come to the media, they are talking how weak we are, what our story have been, and how badly and how incorrectly we are in Sweden because of we didn't have school. From our background, we didn't work well as a Swedish woman. We are always coming up in the stories that honor killing, that discrimination. It's like a poor refugee woman. But we have a lot of doctors, engineers, teachers, a lot of good housewives, a lot of women that work very good in Sweden and have done a very good job in past 30 years in Sweden, that you go everywhere in Sweden, you meet those wonderful women who have done the success. But in media, you don't see them. In media, you see what the journalists want you to see, to make their point of view very important, to make people be interested of something that is negative, that's negative to represent it. And myself, my experience is when I was in Norway as a young refugee, I don't call myself as a refugee because I was 5 years when I come to Norway, but every time I come up and talk about women's rights, they didn't call me as a Norwegian woman, or it's like this poor girl from Afghanistan, that her mother have fled here because the Taliban was killing her father or something. So I was not happy for that, because I wanted to be represented as that woman that have done economically university here in Norway, that woman who work very active and voluntarily for women and gender issues in Sweden and Norway. We are represented that we are not integrated in the system, that we don't want to be a part of the integration, that we don't want to work, and we don't want to take educations, and our culture is the most, how could I say it in English, it's the most good point for the journalists, that your culture represents the woman. And religion is important for them. If they say it's a honor killing, if they say it's a discrimination, so the first thing they will go is a religion, which religion you are. And then it will make a big issue tomorrow in the newspaper that a Muslim woman was attacked by her man. It's how they do here in Sweden, they say it. And it makes me very hard to understand as a woman that no culture and religion have to present me in the media, because the violence is not behalf of religion or behalf of culture. And we represented in media behalf of that. I think it's wrong. Yes, you see all the men in the picture with one woman. It is in news in Sweden. You can see all the sports news. It's only men. You meet one woman, even it's Swedish woman. It's only one woman. It's gender-based issue. And that woman is discriminated by other men in media that say you can nothing about football. And then this is wrong. It's how journalists represent women, and this is not good. You know, if it's any journalist here and they're hearing that represent us like that, will just make us more and more weaker. I have this statistic. It's 87 is foreign, it's a refugee people. Only 9% is represented in media. And that 9% is represented for not so good things, I have to say. In the sports area, in the team, they will love to have a man with refugee background. And it is because in the football and other sports, you meet always one of refugee that have did a success. And it will be very helpful for the TV or media to have one man from their country or with refugee background. It's the fact is not only in Sweden, after what I have learned and say, it's all over the world that women are underrepresented in media. And they are not representing us as a phenonym, as a strong woman, as a woman that have done. And if we say the media is always representing the thing that could make other people interested in their work, but not make people interested in you are as a person, make people to have a positive view about refugees. They are making people have negative view about a lot of refugees, and that's making a very big issue. Because every small thing is coming to media, people will start hate. People will start to be more and more against refugees strong in EU. And I'm, as a woman, today here, I have worked very, very hard in talking to the Swedish media to come and talk. My Swedish much better than my English, I have to say that. But I have done very hard work with other women to come to media and talk about that. Not we will represent all the positive points about the refugees. But no, we didn't get any calls after 50 emails to the journalists. But we played a little with them. We sent a story of a 12-year girl from Syria that she said to me once in the flight, when I was flying from Brussels actually. She said, why the world have to be so mean? And I live in Sweden and everybody call me you're from another country, my classmates. And when I read that, I get response tomorrow. We want to meet that girl. What's happening to that poor? So I don't have so much to say about actually that, but being here today was just to say that we will be represented as a good feminine, as a strong woman, not as a weak everywhere. We have already been weak in our countries. We have already been discriminated. We have already been there that people have told us that you can nothing. Why should we come to a country and you're fighting for women's rights? It's not fighting for women's rights as a journalist when you're standing and show more to her how weak she is, without giving her a motivation that how good you are. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I'm sorry for my English. I didn't talk English for many years now. Yes?